Hi guys, my name is Jennifer and this is one of my Bailey's Longlist reviews on Hag-Seed by Margaret Atwood. This is part of the Hogarth Shakespeare series where contemporary writers take a crack at spinning and revitalizing Shakespeare's plays, and Hag-Seed is a riff on The Tempest. So in preparation for Hag-Seed, I read The Tempest for the first time last month, and I think it's my favorite Shakespeare to date, which just enrages my friend who's studying acting in London. Hi, Elena. Our protagonist is a middle-aged theater director named Felix, who's betrayed and deposed by a conniving employee right before he can put on an ambitious production of The Tempest. So he goes to live alone in a hovel for years. And he had a wife and child before, but they both died, his wife in childbirth and his daughter Miranda at the age of 3 from meningitis. And for those of you who don't know, Miranda is the name of Prospero's daughter in The Tempest. So after a few years of living in this hovel, Felix finds a job directing Shakespeare productions for inmates at a nearby prison. The only Atwood I'd read before was The Handmaid's Tale, and these two couldn't be more different in style and pacing. Hag-Seed just zips along playing on the Tempest themes of revenge, performance, and the line between reality and magic, or reality and madness, depending on your perspective. And Atwood proves that you can use simple prose to staggering effect. A sentence doesn't need to be complicated to evoke a complicated response. Atwood uses careful word choice to create worlds of associations. And you might be thinking, that's not groundbreaking, that seems like the basic requirement for a prize-worthy novel. But trust me, there are multiple books on the Bailey shortlist this year that can't do this. So to give you an example, when Felix goes to live in his hovel, he starts imagining that Miranda is still alive and living with him, and he watches her grow up. And then one day when it's snowing outside, he looks to see if Miranda has been out, but he reminds himself that she doesn't leave footprints. So lightly does she tread. There's a Shakespearean construction to the sentence, so instead of saying she treads so lightly, we get the inverted, more poetic, so lightly does she tread. And the verb tread has an intense delicacy to it, which means that the sentence ends with a pop. Obviously, on the surface, Felix is thinking that Miranda is a spirit child, so she doesn't have enough weight to make footprints. The story doesn't linger, it moves on right away, but this line leaves you with an aftertaste of acute suppressed pain, because what it's really pointing out is that real children stomp all over everything, like literally and metaphorically. There's an almost belligerent solidity to them, but parents also often talk about what a privilege it is to have their lives undeniably marked by their children. So what that sentence is really doing is making you think, what does it mean to be a parent if you don't have a child anymore? If there are no little footsteps following yours in the snow? And what kind of a footprint does grief leave on a life? And I'm telling you, there's line after line of prose that's just clean, but sets your thoughts on so many different paths. I also loved how Atwood looked at the intersection of this play, which is self-consciously theatrical, theater performance in general, and everyday performance. So there's a moment early on when he's thinking about how he's going to direct the girl who's playing Miranda, and he's going to tell her to be wild because Miranda in the play would have been running around on an island for 12 years with no shoes, and he thinks she must have had feet with soles on them like boots. Felix takes the romantic image of Miranda and brings it to the level of reality, makes it tough and physical, which is what The Tempest itself does by combining a magical island world with the real world. And it's what plays in general do by first being just words on a page and then putting those words into people's real bodies. And there's the briefest of moments at the end of this book where Atwood plays with the idea of women being phantom-like figures and abstract ideas throughout history as told by men, and she implies that now, more than ever, women can write themselves into solidity. Then there's the way that Felix comments on what it means to be a director and a teacher, because he's always aware of how he's coming off to others and the different roles he plays throughout the day, especially considering, and I can say this from personal experience, there is no more performative job than being a teacher. In terms of criticism, because this isn't a perfect book, I agree with a lot of other readers that the final climactic section is a letdown. It's too cute, and the connections to The Tempest become unnecessarily neat, even given the fact that the inmates are putting on the play, which is a shame because the book builds itself up to deliver something big and then flops. And the observations about The Tempest aren't always revelatory. Some seem pretty basic, like the section that goes into the different kinds of prisons in the play, but a lot of observations are surprising, like the way this book made me reanalyze the character of Caliban, whose portrayal still wins the prize, by the way, for hands down most racist thing I've ever read, and that includes Half a Heart of Darkness, but at least Atwood complicated my image of him. Overall, Hag-Seed examines loneliness and despair while being consistently funny and charming. So read The Tempest, preferably with an audiobook. I listened to one with Ian McKellen as Prospero, and then read Hag-Seed and enjoy. This book has a deceptive simplicity and there's so much to savor. So let me know if you guys have read Hag-Seed, what you think about it, or if you're interested in reading it, and I will see you soon for my next Bailey's review. Bye guys. Thanks for watching.